And just like we all expected after week 1, your Detroit Lions alone at the top of the NFC North.
Never a doubt. Never a doubt, Obi. Never a doubt.
Let's rewind the tape back to the show after week 1.
I had a doubt.
I
had a doubt. Yeah.
A little bit.
No, wait. Y'all weren't even here for the show.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You removed yourself from the equation. It's only positivity from that end of the table.
Okay, but to be clear, we weren't worried about them losing to Cleveland.
That's true.
Okay.
Never worried about that.
Yeah, there was never a doubt about Cleveland, right?
No.
We worried about them losing to Baltimore.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That seems natural, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And then my dog picked the Browns, and she picked the Ravens.
Callie's kiss.
Yeah, and then she picked the Bears.
Callie's kiss of death.
And then week 1, she picked the Packers. If you're not familiar, we've been
She picked
putting
the Lions.
Huh?
She picked the Lions week 1, right?
She did pick the Lions
Yes.
week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's
0-4 or 4-0, depending on how you want to look at it.
Right?
Yeah.
She being your dog, by the way. We should explain.
Yes. My Doberman is picking the games on a weekly basis. You can check it out on the Local 4 Instagram and TikTok. We're putting it out there. The one against the Bengals, we've already done it. Don't want to tell you who she picked. You'll just have to find out later on this week. But guys, this team
What a tease.
Wow.
This team is 3-0 after week 1. Not the prettiest game against the Browns, but I think we all saw that this Lions team is still pretty good.
Yeah, I love ugly games where you win by 24 points. Yeah, I mean, the Browns are terrible on offense. Like that isn't even an NFL offense, I don't think, with Joe Flacco. But to take a team that just beat your division rival last week and make them look like that, like they didn't even belong in the stadium, yeah, it was really encouraging.
I hate these kind of games when you play a team with a really scrappy defense like the Browns, because you know you're going to win, but you know you're going to get your butt kicked during that game. And that's what the Lions, that's what happened. I mean, that score it felt like that game was a lot closer than the score showed, but guys got beat up on the interior, and with DJ Reed going down, it always seems like it's always like the Cleveland Browns or like the pre-Lamar Jackson Ravens or like the Jags. We always these teams that come in with these scrappy defenses, I just hate them, and I'm so glad it's over with, ready to move on to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a period where the Lions offense was kind of struggling, and that Khalif Raymond return really pulled the game away for them.
Yeah.
And then they scored that touchdown at the end, but there was a decent part of that game where the offense was just stalling. The run game was not working. So just an annoying Cleveland team. They're just annoying.
I knew you were going to have to pull out an ugly win at some point, because that's just how these teams are.
And the atmosphere going into that game, whenever you walked into Ford Field, you can tell there are certain games that it's just like when the Packers come to town, when the Bears come to town, a playoff game, everybody is just so hyped at Ford Field. Not last night, but yesterday afternoon, walking in, it was kind of like, yay, they're playing the Browns. We should win.
It was a formality.
And that's kind of how people were feeling. And it just had a different feel to the game. But like you guys said, I mean, you win by 20-plus points. You still score 34 in a game. And people are saying that it wasn't pretty or you just squeaked by in a way. I mean, that just shows you just how strong this team is. But Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson spoke after the game, and they said that this really was a complete performance with every phase stepping up across the board against the Browns.
Sure, yeah, I think Dan said it great after the game. It's good, we're going to be happy, but we can be so much better. And certainly offensively, the defense played outstanding, right? That is a good defense, and they do present a lot of problems. And today there was a lot of little things that it could have been better, but it's still a winning performance and enough to get the W. And I'm proud of our guys for fighting through some of the little adversity early on.
Yeah, I think we're super complimentary, and that's ultimately what you want, and when our offense isn't doing great, we pick them up, and when we're not doing great, our offense picks us up, and I think that's the difference between the good and the not so good teams.
Well, the Lions are a good team, especially over the last 3 weeks. Looking at the offense, we were talking, this Browns defense coming into the game, they were the #1 defense in the NFL. They got beat up by the Ravens in that game, but then they held the Packers to only 10 points the week before. They hadn't given up 100 rushing yards to a team. Let me see. The most they had given up in a game before yesterday was 81 rushing yards. Jahmyr Gibbs had 91. And that just impressed in that way. Whenever you break down the details, were you impressed by what the Lions offense was able to do in a way against a Cleveland Browns defense that's been really good this year.
Yeah, for sure. They have Myles Garrett, and the Lions' offensive line kept Jared Goff clean, basically the whole game, zero sacks. So we were worried about the offensive line. I know I was coming into the season, and especially after that Packers game, but they just faced one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, and he really didn't have that big of an impact on the passing game. So the other stuff to me is just the Lions knowing that they were playing a crappy team. In the trenches, to me, they dominated, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I was so happy to see 0 sacks because, Myles Garrett is a beast. And so I just got scared. I'm like, please just don't let this guy touch Jared Goff because just one little touch could end up very badly.
One little touch.
Dude, that guy is a beast.
Actually, I thought Goff took some hits yesterday.
He did.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of even questionable hits yesterday, I felt like. So I was glad to see that the Lions could handle this game and not have to use the playbook really at all. The only thing they kept doing over and over again was throw it to J-Mo, who just seemed to be sort of like floating in the air the entire game. I don't know what
Dan
was
Campbell
going on.
just spoke a few minutes ago, and he said some of that goes to the team having a short week, playing on Monday Night Football. Wednesday, they had a walkthrough. That's what he was kind of alluding to. Jared Goff on the interception play, he took credit for that, for not handling it the right way.
J-Mo's got to catch the ball, man.
But
J-Mo's
I
gotta
mean,
catch the ball.
two big drops in that game. I mean, especially after just getting an extension too.
Yeah, it's probably unfair, but like whenever I see J-Mo now, I'm thinking about the guys that we probably aren't going to be able to extend because the Lions extended him. So like those moments when he drops passes are magnified to me. Like Sam Laporta's not dropping those passes, like every time Brian Branch makes a big play, like the Lions invested in this guy. It's going to be instead of one of their other core guys. So he needs to come through. He's not on a rookie deal anymore.
Signing J-Mo just makes me not believe in the salary cap. I thought I knew how the salary cap works
It's a
after
scam.
It's just going
after
up
watching
every single year.
watching
Like, that's
football
it.
for
That's all you
40
need to know.
years.
Yeah.
I thought I had a general understanding, but then they extend J-Mo, and I'm just like, I know nothing. Because they might extend everybody at this point. I don't know.
You did call for the end of his Lions tenure here at the beginning of the season.
I thought that's why we drafted Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, it just lined up perfectly, and then we extend him, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Catch the ball.
Catch the ball, bottom line.
Catch the ball.
Well, the defense caught 2 balls yesterday. Kirby Joseph had probably the easiest interception he'll ever have in his life on that sideline. But then DJ Reed diving for that ball. We'll get into the injuries in the next segment. But looking at the defense, I mean, they gave up a touchdown drive at the very beginning of the game. And I think people were concerned at Ford Field, at least, that, oh boy, maybe this won't be as easy as we expected. But then they gave up as many points as they had takeaways from there on out. Impressive. We've talked about Joe Flacco not being maybe the leader that the Browns offense needs, but still an impressive performance for that side of the ball.
Yeah. If you shut down an NFL team, it's impressive. So this is one of the worst offenses in the league, but usually those offenses can still score a couple times. So the fact that the Lions gave up their obligatory opening drive touchdown and then only a field goal after that was a good sign.
yeah. And how about that field goal that went out and then in?
Was that the 58-yarder?
Yeah.
Yeah. That tied Jake Bates' longest one as a Lion.
That was one of the craziest field goals I've ever seen kicked.
I thought, they actually gave up a handful of big plays to the Browns yesterday, but then they held up, and that's always good to see. They gave up a couple of long passes, long runs. I mean, the rush defense had some holes in it yesterday. I know the end numbers are good, but there was some.
That's a rookie running back.
They gashed them pretty well a couple of times. So there were some moments there where it was like, oh, the Browns are in scoring position, and then a penalty would happen, and the next thing you know, they're punting and they ground.
And then you remember Joe Flacco was out there,
which is helpful. It was a sloppy game on both sides.
Remember when the Lions were that?
I know. Yeah. I was watching that game yesterday and thinking, I don't want to take this for granted because there was a time where we played those crappy teams and we're hoping to God to win. We were in, but now we're just like, oh yeah, they won. Moving on.
And Aiden Hutchinson looks better and better and better as this season goes on. The 2 forced fumbles in the last 2 games, I mean, he can get to the quarterback, but to see him go for the football and help his defense out tremendously, I mean, it just shows you how much more comfortable, at least from the outside, he feels this season coming into it. It's been a gradual build-up. And if we keep seeing this, I mean, he might be back in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation by
And it was
Week 7,
hilarious.
week 8.
It was hilarious when he got the wind knocked out of him and he was down for that few seconds, and you could see the crowd. Like that
The
was,
air went
that
out
was
of Ford
everybody
Field, that's for sure.
in my living room. We were
Yeah.
all like, "Oh my God, get
And
up!"
he said after the game, he was like, I'm thinking to myself, I got the wind knocked out of me, and I'm thinking, you got to get up. You got to get up. You can't let people be wondering about you. You have to get up. And he said he got
the
up.
two
off the
guys
field.
that showed that were like
Yeah.
having a panic attack in the stands.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
Nah. But Hutch said after the game, all good. Just the wind knocked out of him, and he moves on to Cincinnati. And we will talk about that game to come up against the Bengals. But the Lions could potentially be playing without their 2 starting corners. We'll dive into that coming up on DSP. Welcome back to DSP along with Derek, Ben, and Ken. I'm Hobie. So many great things, even though it was a quote-unquote ugly game for the Lions. It's still a big win for them. Maybe the ugliest part of the game is losing not 1, not 2, but 3 starters leaving the game with an injury. Kirby Joseph got hurt on DJ Reed's interception, but he came back into the game. But Reed got hurt. He left the game on a cart. Terrion Arnold hurt his shoulder. Hearing from Dan Campbell earlier, it sounds like Reed is going to miss some extended time. Terrion Arnold may or may not play this week, but Campbell said he should be ready for week 6 when that game arrives. But looking at the secondary right now, going to Cincinnati, they're not playing with Joe Burrow right now, but still pretty good receiving core. What are you expecting this to look like for the Lions defense? Because it seems like we've been through this tale with this team before.
The Bengals have good receivers, but as I was telling you earlier, I can't get worried about the Bengals game because of what I saw last week against Minnesota. I can't bring myself to fear that game, especially with how the Lions have been playing. So like I feel that even if Jamar Chase is open every single time, I don't know if the ball is going to be thrown within his wingspan. So I don't know. It's not a good situation to be in, especially because other than DJ Reed, I don't feel good about any of the Lions corners. But this week specifically, I'm not that worried.
What has been the issue for Cincinnati since the dawn of time?
Their defense.
Well, yes, but on offense, I mean.
On offense?
I'm talking about like versus their defense.
Can't run the ball.
The offensive line is terrible. So I don't think Jake Browning is going to be standing up that much. I think he's going to be
Quick
on the ground a lot.
passes.
He's going to be under a lot of pressure. Hopefully, you'd think they'd really take advantage of that.
And Chase Brown has struggled to run the ball this year. They haven't really found a running back since Joe Mixon was there.
Yeah.
It's a lot of quick passes and a struggling run game, and that's
other than Hendrickson, their defensive line doesn't scare me at all. So I expect the Lions to kind of control the ball in this game. And I look for a very lopsided time of possession, and I think that's the strategy.
This is one of those
control
games.
it.
Okay, so we were
Yeah.
talking about going into the Browns game. Oh, no concerns whatsoever. This is a game that they should win. I mean, this is the way y'all are talking. It's like on paper, it lines up even more in the Lions' favor.
Other
I think
than
so.
the game being on the road, I feel the same about this as I did about the
No, I'm definitely more worried about Cincinnati. I mean, when you have Jamar Chase on the other side of the ball and T. Higgins, I mean, they have playmakers, and with if you're down corners, I mean, there's a scenario where they struggle on pass defense for sure, but they just have to control the trend. I mean, just like you said, it's the same thing that the Lions always do. They have to control the lines, and they'll be okay. But I mean, they've given up big passing plays to every team that they've played so far.
The only thing that could make me worried about this game is if Callie picks the Lions, and I'll have to wait and tune into the Local 4
that's
Instagram page
fantastic
to
point.
find out. So
That is
worried
the
sick.
only thing that concerns you.
Doesn't it
Because of
feel
depth.
like we've just kind of picked up where we left off last year, though? Besides the Green Bay game, the Lions are right back into just crushing teams. And
the Lions even had the Green Bay game last year. It was just the second week against Tampa Bay where they just looked terrible. And
there's something about us starting off 1-1. We have to start the season 1-1. I don't know what it is.
We don't want that undefeated night.
it's almost
I
as
know.
if none of the guys who play during the season have played football before for like 8 months going into the Lions season.
Right.
A little rust.
Yeah, none of them have even been dusted off. So, yeah.
At least they don't tie. All right, I got a question.
Yes.
I was laughing so hard watching that game, and the fact
Last
that it
night?
ended in a tie. Is a tie worse than a loss? Because
I don't know. That is a
feel
good
like
question.
it's just
I
one of those annoying things when you look at the
I think
stands.
I think it is for the Packers,
Right.
Because because now they're not in first place anymore.
Yeah.
I mean,
I couldn't believe
it
they
could
got
be
that
the
1
deciding
second
thing.
left in overtime too. I thought they were going to lose that game at the very end.
Well, a loss
Imagine-
is objectively worse, but what this does, it helps the Lions kind of in a weird way because the first tiebreaker, if the Lions and Packers were to finish tied would be head-to-head, right?
Right.
And the fact that the Packers have a tie now basically guarantees that the two teams aren't going to finish tied. So, like, the head-to-head almost doesn't matter anymore unless the Lions also pick up a tie this year.
And the odds of that.
Unlikely.
This is like the first one since what, 2022? Something like that.
been a
It was
while.
the first. It was the
It
first
was
tie
probably
in
the
the
Steelers
NFL.
or something. Yeah.
Fun little stat, though.
Go ahead.
Was it Lions Steelers?
No, it's
Since
probably
the
Steelers.
era of overtime, no team with a tie has made the Super Bowl. Boom.
Wow. So Green Bay is not going, is what you're saying?
Nope, Green Bay's not going to the Super Bowl. Not with the
Here's
tie.
my question, though. I mean, is Green Bay on fraud alert?
I kind of feel like they are. A game against the Browns
Just throwing it
and
out there.
Dallas, and you didn't win either of them?
Yeah, I'm just saying, are they? I mean, we talked about like hope. The best case scenario coming out of Week 1 was that the Packers were just juiced from the Micah Parsons
Right.
trade, and the Lions were just coming off preseason and having not played, and that has kind of played out a little bit. And the Packers have clearly come back down to earth. You'd think that they would have been hyped last night to play against the Cowboys for Micah.
Yeah.
They did. I mean, they scored a lot of points. Defense was terrible. So,
Defense still gave up 40.
so
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
So what are they? I mean, we thought they were a defensive juggernaut coming out of because they shut the Lions down, and now they're
And this was a Dallas offense playing without arguably their best player.
for sure
No CD Lamb in this
Yeah.
game.
definitely their best.
I
player.
think-
It is a valid question after
Yeah.
4 weeks of the season, especially because people were so high after week 1.
And after week 2, I mean,
Yeah.
the Packers looked amazing in week 2, but ever since that game, I think you're right. That moment to now, there can't be more data than we've gotten to sort of suggest that like it was a fluke, both for the Lions and the Packers. I mean, that Thanksgiving Day game is really, really going to tell us a lot.
And not to say that the Packers are a bad team at all, but after Week 1, I mean, everyone was like, "Oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
Yep, that's the
Yeah, pretty much.
that is the class of the NFC. That's what everybody was
Yes.
saying.
Yep.
Packers are the team to beat.
And I think now
think
that
so.
everybody's kind of caught up in 2 weeks.
It's the
that's
Eagles
NFL.
now, right? It's probably the Eagles now, but the
They look
Lions
good
have
against Tampa Bay.
re-entered the conversation.
For sure.
agreed.
Them tying Dallas was kind of fitting because I felt like they were almost very mirrored of each other. Like they felt like
November
the
is
same team.
November is going to be incredible though
Yes.
because the Lions have the Eagles on the road and then they have the Packers for Thanksgiving. That is
Yeah.
going to be, you know, the two best games of the
That's good
season.
stuff. Yeah,
right
that's good
there.
stuff.
Jerry Jones
Right
was
there.
happy with the tie, so I'm happy.
Well, congratulations to you and Jerry. Still more to come on DSP. Postseason baseball. We have to get to it. Have to. You seem so thrilled. Tigers heading back to Cleveland as they face the Guardians in the wild card round. We will talk about it when we return. Good talk about wisdom teeth removal.
Yeah, it's important. It's important.
We won't regale the crowd with that story.
Thank goodness.
But what a story it has been for the Detroit Tigers as they head into the postseason, sliding into the play. They had a chance to win the division on Sunday. Does that count for anything for you going
Watching
into
the
the playoffs?
Tigers the last 3 weeks has been like getting your wisdom teeth removed.
Without being sick.
I wish I was knocked out
sedation.
for all of it. Yes. Every painful inning.
But guess what? They're not out. They're into the postseason. So
more.
I'm being serious. Do you hit the reset button because the team is saying all the right things? Like, it's hard to forget, but they're saying like, forget the last month, forget the last few weeks. We earned our spot. Now we're going to Cleveland to face the team that we lost 5 of 6 against to close out the year.
Yes. You hit the reset button. But it's a lot harder to hit the reset button when the thing that has been haunting you is literally just going to be thrust right back into your face, and that is the Cleveland Guardians. Earlier in the show, Ken said something about Cleveland being annoying. That doesn't even apply to the Browns when compared to this Guardians team.
Not even close.
The inning that sunk the Tigers last week was like bunt single off home plate, infield swinging bunt, ball hiked through Tarek Skubal's legs into right field. It was the most
Ball into David Fry's face.
yeah, it was the most obnoxious and outrageous, but also the most predictable Cleveland inning I have ever witnessed. And you're just sitting through it like, God, I know exactly what's happening to this team. Yet still, the Tigers had every chance to win the division. All they had to do was beat a Boston team that did not care
Had
because
nothing
they
to
had
play
already clinched. And instead, they, in classic September Tigers fashion, the offense was one swing. They hit one 3-run homer in a game that the Boston Red Sox did not care about, and they did not score again. So it's very easy to say, yes, hit the reset, clean slate. And sometimes that works. But as someone who has watched every inning of the last month, it's much more difficult to like forget those memories.
And let's make something clear, though. Friday, the Tigers were playing well in that game.
Yes.
And Boston still had something to play for,
Yes.
and they came back to win that game. But that is a game that the Tigers could have won. Do you take any silver linings from that last series whatsoever? Take Sunday out of it.
Okay. Yes. The Tigers played competitive baseball against a good team.
The pitching was better.
And what I think is a bigger positive for the Tigers is that Cleveland is not playing like they were when the Tigers last saw them. Even though it's only the last 4 games, Cleveland has lost 3 out of 4. They were on an unbelievable bender when the Tigers saw them both of these last 2 weeks. So your hope is that Cleveland has come down to earth. And the Terry Skubal game is a must-win game, like an absolute must-win in game 1, because after that, we've seen this Tigers rotation. It's kind of a crapshoot beyond Skubal.
Well, we saw it last year.
Yeah,
We saw it last year
yes.
against Cleveland.
Yeah.
And like he said, Cleveland was on almost like the Tigers run last year, and the Tigers just went ice cold. But it does seem like both of those streaks may have ended, and things may start to even out a little bit, which I think going into this series kind of favors the Tigers. But for me, it's like, man, like you said, it's been so rough watching this past month, just watching them let that lead slip away and just play such awful baseball. So for me, it's just like no expectations. I'm just going into it like, whatever. If they win, they win. And when they win the World Series, I'm just going to sit here and be like, I knew it all along, guys. But no, I just have no expectations because at this point, it's just entertainment purposes.
A couple weeks ago, you and Ian said that this team was built for the playoffs. So do you still feel that way after the last 2 weeks?
Yes, the roster is built to win more in a short series than it was over 162. The reason that I sound so pessimistic is because the Tigers spent the whole season as in competition for the best record in baseball. And then to see all of that washed away, not only to lose a bye, but to lose the division, lose a home playoff series. The way that they played all year makes this feel like the definition of backing in. And yes, we've seen teams back into the playoffs or be the last team in and win the World Series because, like Hobie said, you get to start fresh. None of Riley Green's 600 strikeouts this season matter starting during this series. All that matters is can he go, 4 for 8 this week, and he can erase all of that. So there is something to that, and the Tigers do have a chance, but it's just hard to feel like there's a positive vibe following this team right now.
But I see your point about Cleveland, because Cleveland looked like a juggernaut, and the Tigers just kind of fell into their crosshairs, if you will, whenever you look at when they were hot. Like, they were just at the right points in time. They were just the team that was in the Guardians' way.
Yeah.
I look at this series. The Tigers, their 8-game losing streak is in the past. I mean, there was a point last week where people were like, oh, is this team even going to make the postseason? And I think we saw a different team in Boston. I really do think we saw a different team in Boston that showed that, yeah, we can get back on our positive trajectory to get ourselves to, and also going to Cleveland. I mean, last year, that's where the season ended. They lost 5 of 6 to this team. If that can't motivate you enough to go out and want to take a series, especially with your ace going on day 1, I mean, that gives me some hope for this team.
I think the motivation is definitely there, and the bulletin board material is definitely there. It's just the two things that have really haunted them down this stretch have been an offense that goes dormant for almost entire games. Maybe they'll perk up and score a couple runs once in one inning and then just nothing the rest. Or when they finally do have a lead, that bullpen finds a way to blow it. And we saw both of those things again in Boston, even when they were playing better. So I don't know. I'd be lying to you if I said I expect the Tigers to go into Cleveland and win 2 out of 3. They need to win the Skubal start.
Yep.
The offense.
Start there.
They need to score early in the game Tuesday to have a chance in this series. I firmly believe that.
All right, first game is coming up at 1:08 on Tuesday. Hopefully it's a great first game and hopefully a great second game, and we'll see if we get to game 3. But for Derek, for Ben, for Ken, I'm Hobie. We will see y'all next time.